Good afternoon, Doctor and fellow classmates. We are from Grade 7, and today we will be presenting our case study poster entitled SRC International Scandal. Before we begin, let us introduce our group member. Our group member consists of Anis, Farah, Putri, Enshi, Waikin, Ayuni, and Rivati. In this presentation, we will explain the overview of the case study, the contributing factor, legal implication, consequences, initiative taken, as well as the conclusion and lesson learned from this case. Without further ado, let us begin our presentation.
First of all, let us have a roughly introduction of our case studies topic. The SRC International Scandal is one of the most significant and controversial financial corruption cases in Malaysia history, and it is closely linked to the wider 1MDB controversy. The case attracted both national and international attentions because it involved the measure of public funds, abuse of power, and weaknesses in the country's financial government system. This scandal not only involves serial legal offences, but also exposed deeper systemic weaknesses such as weak financial control, lack of transparency, poor accountability, and ineffective monitoring within government administration and government-linked company. In this presentation, we will discuss the background of SRC International Scandal, the contributing factors, legal implications, consequences, and the measure taken to address this issue.
I will be briefly explain the background of the SRC International case. The main parties involved were Datuk Sri Muhammad Najib bin Tun Haji Abdul Razak, who was the Prime Minister and Finance Minister at that time, SRC International Sdn Bhd, and KWAP, which is Malaysia Public Pension Fund. SRC International was established in 2011 as a subsidiary of 1MDB to focus on strategic investment in energy and natural resource. Between 2011 and 2012, the company received 4 billion ringgit loan from KWAP, which was guaranteed by the Malaysian government. Scandal became a major issue when investigators discovered that 42 million ringgit from SRC International had been transferred into Najib Razak's personal bank account. This transaction took place through the Malaysian banking system and offshore entities. So, for the chronology, after the company was formed and the loan was approved, the 42 million ringgit was transferred into Najib's account between 2014 and 2015. In 2018, Najib was arrested and charged in court. In 2020, the High Court found him guilty on all 7 charges. In 2022, the Federal Court rejected his final appeal. He then began serving his prison sentence at Kajang Prison. This case is a landmark in Malaysia as it highlights a serious issue regarding the misuse of public funds.
And now I will talk about factors. There were the several factors that contribute to the SRC International Scandal. One of the main factors was abuse of authority. At that time, Najib Razak was both the Prime Minister and Finance Minister of Malaysia, so he had a strong influence over government financial matters, including SRC International. Because he held several important positions at the same time, he had a significant control over major decisions and financial management. When too much power is concentrated in one person without a proper supervision, corruption can happen more easily. Investigation later found that 42 million ringgit linked to SRC International have entered Najib's personal bank account, which raised serious public concern about the misuse of public-related funds. Another factor was weak monitoring and poor management system. SRC International managed billions of ringgit from government-backed loan, but the supervision and financial control system were not strong enough. Many transactions involve multiple bank accounts and complicated money transfer, making the movement of money difficult to trace clearly. Because of weak monitoring, suspicious financial activity was not detected earlier, allowing the misuse of funds to continue for a long period. Besides that, lack of transparency and integrity also played an important role in the scandal. Many financial transactions related to SRC International were unclear and difficult for the public to understand, making corruption harder to detect. At the same time, public officials are expected to manage public funds honestly and responsibly. But SRC scandal reflect a lack of accountability, among those involved. As a result, public trust in the government decreased and Malaysia's image was negatively affected internationally.
One of the main offences in the SRC International case was criminal breach of trust (CBT) under Section 409 of the Penal Code. CBT happens when a person trusted with money misuses it for personal benefit. In this case, RM42 million from SRC International was found in Najib Razak's personal account. As Prime Minister and Finance Minister, he was responsible for managing public funds, so this was treated as a serious offence with penalties of up to 20 years jail, fine and whipping. This case also involved abuse of power under Section 23 of the MACC Act 2009 and money laundering under AMLA 2001. Abuse of power means using authority for personal gain, while money laundering means hiding illegal money through multiple transactions. These offences carry heavy punishments, including imprisonment and fines. In 2020, Najib was found guilty and sentenced to 12 years jail and a 210 million fine, later reduced to 6 years and 50 million in 2024 after a royal pardon.
Next, I will explain the impact of SRC international scandals on individuals, organizations, and Malaysia as a whole. First, the scandal affected individuals involved through imprisonment, heavy fines, and loss of reputation. It also affected the public because government funds that should have been used for welfare and development were instead used to cover financial losses, increasing public dissatisfaction and cost of living. Second, the scandal caused major problems for organizations. SRC International suffered financial losses and became insolvent due to the embezzlement of funds. The Malaysian government later provided a bailout of about 6.98 billion ringgit. This also damaged the reputation of public institutions and reduced investor confidence. Lastly, the scandal negatively affected Malaysia's image internationally. Public trust in the government declined, and foreign investors became more cautious about investing in the country, affecting economic growth.
Next, I will explain the government initiative taken to resolve the SRC International issue. Firstly, the government re-established a special task force involving key institutions such as the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, the Attorney General Chambers, the Royal Malaysia Police, and also Bank Negara Malaysia. This task force played an important role in coordinating investigations and gathering evidence for prosecution. Secondly, the government strengthened international cooperation. They worked with foreign authorities including the United States Department of Justice as well as agencies in Singapore and Switzerland. This was crucial as a significant amount of funds was moved outside Malaysia. Lastly, the Ministry of Finance took legal action by filing a total of 22 civil suits on 7 May in the year of 2021 through 1MDB and SRC. Out of these, 6 suits were filed by 1MDB and 16 by SRC. These lawsuits targeted individuals and entities linked to the misappropriation of funds, aiming to recover assets worth over RM96.6 billion, including around RM300 million from local parties. Overall, this initiative not only helped in recovering national assets but also reinforced transparency and accountability in handling corruption cases.
One of the important lessons we can learn is that integrity should always come before a personal interest. A leader must be honest and should never use a public fund or state property for personal leisure because it is a betrayal of the people's trust. Besides that, we also learn that every leader carries a fiduciary responsibility, which means they must act in the best interest of the institution and society rather than for personal gain. Abuse of power and breach of trust can lead to serious legal consequences and damage a leader's reputation. Furthermore, corruption and misuse of authority can negatively affect a country's image. When the people lose trust in the administrative system, the stability and harmony of the nation can also be affected. So in conclusion, integrity, accountability and responsibility are very important values in leadership. We should take this as a lesson to always act honestly and ethically in everything we do.
To conclude, the SRC International case is not just a legal issue, but a reflection of systemic weaknesses such as abuse of authority, weak financial controls, and lack of transparency. Its impacts were far-reaching, affecting individuals, organizations, as well as the country's economy and reputation. Although the government has taken significant steps through enforcement actions and international collaboration, the core lesson remains clear. Leaders must uphold integrity, accountability, and responsibility when managing public funds. Ultimately, strong governance is essential to restore public trust and safeguard the future of the nation.